Hari Ram, Hari Ram. Ram, Ram, Hari, Hari, Hari. Krishna, Krishna, Hari, Hari. Ram, Ram, Hari, Hari, Hari. Krishna, Krishna, Hari, Hari. Hari Ram, Hari. All right. So, devotees, here we are. Every 2 weeks, we answer some questions from the devotees who are following our programs. So, tonight is another one of the questions and answers nights. So let us begin. Excuse me. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presta Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadeshatarne Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, devotees, welcome. And this evening we have 11 questions. So let us begin. First question. Guru Maharaj, we are taught that we should perform devotional activities for the pleasure of the Lord. We should serve favorably. I sometimes find myself going on Harinams or Kirtans because I need some upliftment or mercy, a personal benefit. Sort of like having an expectation from the holy name. Guru Maharaj, please assist me to get rid of the selfishness and to rather be in the mood to chant the holy name or perform any devotional service only to please the Lord. What mood or prayer should we have before and after devotional service or kirtan or harinam? Yeah, well, that's an interesting question. It's an interesting question. You know, the thing is this. There's a few things. Excuse me. First thing is simply to pray to the Lord that I would like to develop a real service attitude, a real mood of wanting to please you when I'm chanting, when I'm serving, and like that. So that intention should be there and that desire should be there within the heart, and it should be expressed to the Lord. That's one thing, and it's an important thing, but it's not really the real main thing. The main thing really is that we should chant. Excuse me. We should chant very attentively If we can chant attentively, then we will be contacting Krishna. When we chant inattentively, which includes that while we're chanting, that we're thinking about what I can get out of this. But particularly if we're thinking just letting the mind wander, we're just thinking of anything, then the contact with the Lord is not going to be so strong. Yes, and when the contact is not strong, then, well, the mercy is not transmitted to us. You know, it's sort of like you could say, I remember when I was young in the old days that we got a television and it had an aerial on top, and you had to adjust the aerial, and if you had the wrong adjustment, the picture was all fuzzy, and just, you know, it was no picture actually. But then when you got it right, then the picture was there nicely. So it's that was a matter of contact, really. Being in the correct position to contact the waves, the television waves. Otherwise, if we weren't in contact nicely, then we just get, either a distorted picture or maybe no picture, just a whole lot of sort of like snow. So similarly with our chanting, and from it our serving, but let's just talk about chanting more first. If we are chanting, but our minds are thinking of other things, any other things, even, am I going to get benefit? Is it going to help me? Which is better than thinking while chanting of how can I enjoy some material experience. So the connection with Krishna will not be strong. And as a result, the mercy will not flow in to us. The mercy is going to be outside there. It can't penetrate because we haven't made the connection with the Lord in the form of His holy names. So attentiveness is extremely important because attentiveness is the connection, the degree of attentiveness, the degree to which we are, so to speak, tuned in to the Lord. To that degree, the mercy will flow from the Lord into our hearts from the holy names into our ears and to our hearts. So I hope that point is clear enough, that the connection has to be clear, a good connection. That means we have to be chanting properly and we have to be hearing properly. If we're either not chanting properly, if we're sort of mumbling, or even if we are chanting properly, but we're not hearing it nicely because our attention is elsewhere on other things, then that mercy potency of the Lord in the form of his holy names is not going to flow in to the ear, and then from the ear to the heart. So yes, we should understand that is the route. From the sound vibration into the ear, and from the ear into the heart. So if the sound vibration, which is our form of the Lord, is not entering the ear and is not entering the heart, the result just can't be there. It's a fairly simple point. So that's particularly in regard to chanting. But we should know that the quality of our chanting will influence the quality of our service and the quality of our consciousness in our service. So if we've been chanting badly and not chanting properly and not hearing properly, so the mercy hasn't flown into the heart, then our service will not really be of good quality, and our consciousness cannot be of good quality. So therefore our attempts at devotional service it'll be very difficult. So therefore we should understand very clearly that one of the great keys to being Krishna conscious, to getting the nectar of Krishna consciousness, is the quality of our chanting and the quality of our hearing the chanting. I hope that's clear. So if one's japa beads, which the spiritual master has chanted on at initiation, if those japa beads break, what options are there for a disciple? Can one offer another set of beads to the deity and chant on them? Or does the spiritual master have to chant on another set? Please advise. Well, that's a good question, important question, because, as with anything in this world, our beads are prone to be temporary, and they may well break after a while. So if that happens, first thing, try to get them repaired, if you can. Even, if, say, for example, one bead breaks, or two or three beads break, but the rest of the beads are fine, then it would be best to take them to some, if you're in India or when you go to India, one of these bead wallahs, and they can repair them. My beads, which are not the beads I got from Prabhupada, because those beads, I don't know where they've gone, but they were not Tulsi beads, they were just beads that we bought in the bead shop down the road, because in those days we didn't have proper chanting beads. But these beads I'm using now, I got them when we moved into Hillbrow, I think it was 1991. So I've been using them about 30 years. But maybe about 10 years ago, one bead? Or maybe it was just the string broke, I think. The beadwallah who I got them from, his name is Rajendra, and he's in Loy Bazaar, and we've known each other. I mean, not closely, but we've known each other for probably 30 or 40 years. So I handed them in to him, and he restrung them all. using parachute nylon, which shouldn't break. Or, it may well after a long time, but it should really last some time before it breaks. So that's the best thing, to get the beads repaired, because they're sacred. And, we can't just sort of toss them away or something. They're really sacred. But somehow or other, if, for example, if your beads get stolen, occasionally devotees come to me, disciples, and somehow their beads got stolen or got lost or something, so the beads are just not there any longer. So then we have them get another set of nice beads, and then I chant on them, and then I give them to the disciple, and then they take them and they chant on them. This is how it works. So, but if you are in a situation where your beads have not been stolen or lost, but just maybe the string broke, or maybe a bead broke, or something, but you are not able, there's no one around who can fix them. Because sometimes it's like that, it can be tricky. Fixing beads, you got to know what you're doing. So if you can't get them fixed, and you tried your best to get them fixed somehow, then you may have to purchase another set of nice beads, and then the spiritual master should chant on them, and then you can use them. Okay, so number 3. How can we stop war if Krishna is letting it happen? Pray for peace. But peace means people should stop committing sin. That's why war starts, doesn't it? Well, it's a fact. Srila Prabhupada said that because the Americans were eating so much meat, then their sons were killed in Vietnam in that war in the 60s, I think it was. Yeah. So it's a fact that sinful activity causes, whatever is going on in the lives of materialistic people is caused by sinful activity. So ultimately, to stop people from committing sinful activity by preaching Krishna consciousness and convincing them that we must not do nonsense, that is the ultimate way that we're going to get peace and happiness and like that. But in the meantime, it's a very nice thing to pray for peace. We don't just as devotees, we don't just have to pray to Krishna, please let there be peace. Since history has been recorded in the Western world, there has never been a day when there was not some war going on somewhere on the planet. There's never been a single day in hundreds of years when there was not some war or other. But to pray for peace in the sense, as devotees do, that please give these people intelligence, help these people to become Krishna conscious, and then to chant like that and pray like that, that's a good thing to do. And it's also nice from the preaching point of view when the people in general see that we care, we're interested, then they'll appreciate Krishna consciousness more. And, in their own ways, they'll take Krishna consciousness more seriously. So it's good from the point of view of appealing to Krishna to give mercy. It's good to pray for peace because people will appreciate us as being peaceful and interested in helping the world like that. So, number 4, this is interesting. My question is, I have no questions. I feel I'm so empty. Why is it like this? Excuse me. Milk. Hot milk with some saffron and a little sugar. It's really nice. So, okay, it's a good question. It's an important question. What it means, well, Srila Prabhupada made the point that if you are interested in Krishna consciousness, you will have questions. Because Krishna consciousness is so deep and there's so many subtleties and intricacies and, things like this, that if you're interested, then you'll have questions. Yeah. So, our problem is that we are prone to be attracted by other things. And then, because we're not so interested in Krishna consciousness, we're more interested in other things. And as a result, we will not really absorb ourselves, for example, in reading, studying, hearing the classes, and like that. Because our attention will be elsewhere, because we're more interested in other things. Yeah. So that's really the answer to your question, why you have no questions. And, like we answered the first question, we have to chant attentively, chant nicely, and hear attentively our nice chanting. This is like the first sign of interest, is that we are really chanting attentively and hearing ourselves chanting attentively. And then that'll stimulate our consciousness. And then when we study, we'll find so many things, interesting things, and questions will come, and answers will come just by reading also. But generally, if a person doesn't have questions, generally it's a sign of a lack of serious interest in what is Krishna consciousness? How does Krishna consciousness work? These types of subjects. Right. Is it possible to attain love for God without being Krishna conscious? Well, in Kali Yuga, there's one verse. Let me read it. It's It's in Caitanya Charitamrita. Ei kali kale ara nahi kona dharma Vaishnava Shastra Ei kahe marma. Let me just find it. Ei kali kale ara nahi kona dharma Vaishnava Shastra Ei kahe marma. In this age of Kali, there are no genuine religious principles other than those established by Vaishnav devotees and the Vaishnav scriptures. This is the sum and substance of everything. That's pretty powerful, isn't it? When we look at the other religious processes, what do we find? We find that in the vast majority of followers of those different religions, for example, we find the vast majority are eating meat. And that is such an offensive activity, offensive to Krishna. The principle is something like this, and Prabhupada used this example, that you go to visit someone in their house and you want to make a nice impression and develop a relationship. But that person has a dog, and you decide somehow or other you like eating dogs. So you kill the dog and prepare the dog, and the person comes, they went out somewhere, they come back, and you say, here, I've prepared something for you to eat. What's the person going to think of you? They're going to be shocked. They're going to be horrified. Oh my God, it's pretty, they're going to boot you out or beat you up or something extreme. So all the animals, particularly the cows, but all the animals, they're Krishna's children. And if you kill and eat a person's children, what's the person going to think of you? So you see, just this one point, and Prabhupada, when talking with Christians, which he didn't bother to do much at all, but on the few occasions he did, he always got onto this point. Are you eating meat? And of course, in virtually all cases, they would just say yes without a thought. And what Prabhupada would say would be that it's against your principles. It's against the 10 commandments. Because there's one of the commandments, thou shalt not kill. So therefore, the likelihood of people who are not Krishna conscious developing love for God in Kali Yuga is very small. Very, very small. In fact, generally, what Prabhupada said on a few occasions that if people follow another religion, another process other than Krishna conscious, some, sort of God conscious type of process, if they do so very sincerely, then in their next lives, they may become devotees. Even the Bhagavatam says that the demigods in the heavenly planets, they're praying to be able to take birth on this planet to join the Krishna consciousness movement. This movement of Lord Caitanya, because it's such a special thing. So, even if a person is eating meat, and in most cases they're doing some of the other wrong activities, but I'm sure there's some who are not doing too many sinful activities, then the way Prabhupada presented it, and it's not difficult to understand, that if they do what they're doing as sincerely as they're capable, in their next lives they may become devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement. What are your practical tips for controlling our senses or engaging our senses in Krishna's service? Well, congratulations. You just answered your own question. Yeah. We don't simply control our senses just by, forcibly stopping ourselves from doing wrong things. Of course, if there is, or whenever there might be, some attraction to doing a wrong thing, from the Krishna conscious point of view, a wrong thing, then of course we have to stop ourselves. But in general, the process is to not just negation, don't do this, don't do that, just not this, not that, not so many things. Our process is really, the essence is to engage our senses in the service of the Lord. That's the thing. Keep engaged. The senses, the mind, will step by step become purified the more we keep them engaged in devotional service. Prabhupada told the story of the genie in the bottle. You know that story? You know the story? Genie in the bottle? You think you know it? You know it, yeah, you must do. There was a genie in a bottle. And the king's minister someone was trying to sell a bottle with a genie in it. The king's minister would go to the market every day and buy up what had not been sold by the merchants. So he got this bottle with the genie. And the merchant said, there's a genie in it. Yeah, there you go. So the minister took the bottle back, and they opened the bottle, him and the king. And the genie said, you got to keep me engaged. Got to give me something to do. If you don't, I'll kill you. So they said, no problem. Clean the palace. The king was living in one of these massive, grandioso palaces. And they thought, with a few hundred rooms, clean the palace. So they told him that, and so off he went. Yes, I'll do it. Off he went. And they thought, it's going to take him weeks, months maybe, to clean all of these rooms. He was back in 5 minutes. I've cleaned the entire palace. Give me something to do, or I'll kill you. So, okay, right. Well, all right then. Clean the kingdom. Off he went. And they thought, it'll take him years to clean the kingdom. He was back in 10 minutes. It's clean. Completely clean. Give me something to do or I'll kill you. Then the minister said, all right, Go out to the people, the population. Find out what everybody wants and fulfill their desires. Everybody. Okay, off he went. And the minister said to the king, he'll never come back. These people have so many desires, he'll never be able to fulfill them. He was back in 15 minutes. I fulfilled all their desires. They have no more desires. Give me something to do or I'll kill you. And they couldn't think of anything. And the genie sort of coming at them. And the minister said to the king, it looks like we're finished here. And you know what my mother told me I should do when the time of death comes? My mother told me I must chant, Hare Krishna. And the genie said, Hare Krishna. Ah. And the genie said, come on, give me something more to do. And the minister again said, Hare Krishna. And the genie said, Hare Krishna. Then the minister told him the whole mantra. And now the genie is chanted the whole mantra and finished one time the whole mantra. Said, now what? And the minister said, just keep chanting till further notice. Don't call us, we'll call you when there's something else for you to do. And the genie he just was chanting and chanting and chanting and chanting. And he became a very nice devotee genie. So you see, in this story, the genie represents the mind. You got to keep it engaged. If you don't, it can kill you. I mean, it can actually literally kill you. Although that's, it's very rare, but it happens. But at least it can kill your Krishna consciousness if you just let your mind run wild. Yeah. So we've got to keep ourselves engaged, keep the mind engaged. 7, what happens when a disciple breaks the initiation vows? Well, it is an offense to Krishna. It is an offense to the spiritual master. It is an offense to the devotee community, because when someone is initiated and repeats and vows to follow those principles, then the Lord is there in the form of the deity, in the form of the fire. The spiritual master is there, usually personally, and many devotees are there. And one is vowing in front of them. So it's an offense to all of those personalities if one breaks one's vows. And the spiritual master, if a disciple breaks their vows, oftentimes the spiritual master will get a reaction of some sickness, some anxiety, some problem arises, some difficulty arises. So, yes, therefore, we must not break our initiation vows. And ultimately, on top of all that, if you break the initiation vows, you will get into real anxiety, and your consciousness will be bad, you'll be very unhappy. Yeah. So all round, one should definitely not break one's initiation vows. So, okay, Hare Krishna Maharaj, if I want to take initiation, what should I do and what is the process? Yes, well, we have a simple but good process in Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON. If you want to take initiation, first thing, you have to chant not less than 16 rounds a day every day. Then you have to follow all the 4 regulative principles every day. And then as much as you're able, you should do some service. So if you are doing those things, chanting regulative principles, service, associating with devotees, these types of things, then, you should have been doing those things for at least a year, so it's clear that you're serious. And while you're doing those things, you should pray to Srila Prabhupada, accept Srila Prabhupada as your Siksha Guru, and take shelter of him. So after a year of following that program successfully, then you can start thinking about who could be your spiritual master, because there's many to choose from. And as the devotees in general, are all individuals with individual personalities and attitudes and things like this, and desires. So similarly, there are different spiritual masters. Some are more focused in some sort of thing. Some are sort of broadly focused. Others are focused on another particular thing. So one should accept as spiritual master a spiritual master who ideally one has had some association with, and who one feels a sort of, what's the term? Synergy, but it's not the right term. Anyway, one feels that one can accept that person as spiritual master, and the spiritual master also feels that he can accept you and is willing to work with you. Yeah, so like this, then one has to choose who one would like to be initiated by. Then you have to approach them and ask them. And then basically at the same time, you have to inform the temple authorities where you are, that you want to be initiated by this person. So then in this way the process really develops. You have to do a course, the disciple course. You have to wait for a while to prove that you're serious. Yeah, but in essence it works like this. Okay, number 9. We have 11, here's number 9. In the Hare Krishna Mahamantra there are 16 names and 32 syllables. The name Krishna occurs 4 times, and the name Ram appears 4 times. But Hare occurs 9 times. Why is this? Why did the names of Krishna and Rama not happen 8 times? Well, the thing is, Hare is an appeal. Please be merciful. Please engage me in your service. So, yes, therefore it's repeated like that. Actually, ultimately it's addressing Radharani to help me become engaged in your Lord Krishna's service. But in the simplest terms, Hare is an appeal for mercy. So Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Govinda, in any situation with any name of the Lord, it could not be inappropriate. Yes. So therefore it's like that. Okay? 10. I often hear how devotees address each other only by the first parts of their names. I heard in lectures of different spiritual masters that this is offensive to that person's spiritual master who gave this name to the devotee. Is it true? Should we always address devotees by their full names? Or in some cases, is it allowed to reduce names, like abbreviate? Like you might call Yamaraj Prabhu Yamo. Or Anukul Krishna Prabhu, you might call him Anukul, or Anu even. You know, one thing I can say is that when Shrutakirti Prabhu was serving Srila Prabhupada, at one point something amusing happened between the two of them, and Srila Prabhupada started calling Shrutakirti Prabhu, he started calling him Shruto. Shruto, yeah. For some days, Prabhupada was addressing him as Shruto, which is obviously an abbreviation and, like a nickname. So, to do that with devotees you're close to as an part of an affectionate exchange, that's nice. That's nice. That's okay at least. But otherwise, in general, we should, you can do that with devotees you're intimate with, you're friendly with, close to. Otherwise, the devotees in general, it's best to address them by, in the case of Yamaraj Prabhu, address them Yamaraj Prabhu, Anukul Krishna Prabhu. Or, Prabhupada on a few occasions that were recorded called ladies Prabhu also. Although generally we use, more often than not, where I go, they're called Mother or Mataji, by the men at least. And Srila Prabhupada talked about that on a number of occasions, that men at least should see ladies as their mothers. So therefore, unless it's someone who you're close to and you're like really friends on the level of the heart, other than with them, you should use the full names, and either Mother for ladies or such and such Prabhu for the men. That is the best thing to do. I don't know, I've not heard that it might actually be offensive to the devotee's spiritual master if you are very close with them, like I said, and you use some sort of abbreviated form. I never heard that. Yeah. But of course, with devotees, we should always be respectful. Should always be respectful with all devotees. Yeah. So to address them respectfully, men such and such Prabhu, ladies, Mother such and such Mataji, like that, is the nicest thing, put it that way. So here we go, devotees, it's the last question. As I understand from your last question and answer session, how a devotee or disciple should be, I want to follow your said path, but I'm finding it difficult to follow the path and regulative principles. kindly guide and help me so that I can follow your path. Well, that's nice. Thank you for that. It's a good point. Yeah, we are conditioned. We have been in this world for a long time, just accepting material existence as the all in all. So now it's really quite different. Doing everything for Krishna, not doing certain things which, at least some of them, maybe all, but at least some, probably we were all doing quite a lot. So it can be a bit difficult making the transition from one to the other. So what I would suggest, I've already a couple of times suggested in regard to other situations, but they're related to this situation. I've already said to really work on one's chanting. That's important. Another thing, though, is that in our efforts to become Krishna conscious, we should associate regularly with devotees, because devotees, they're always engaged in Krishna conscious activity. They're always thinking of Krishna, how to serve Krishna, like this. So just by being in their company, you'll become influenced by their enthusiasm in Krishna consciousness, undoubtedly. Because you become like those people who you associate with. And in this context, when we say the people who you associate with, we mean actually we mean whoever. It means the people that you listen to. We're talking about listening and watching the examples. So if you're associating with materialistic people, then you'll be listening to them. All whatever they have to say, what's on the television, etc., etc. You'll be listening, and you'll be influenced by it. But if you are associating with devotees, and you're hearing Krishna Katha, you're engaged in devotional activities with them, then that will really give you inspiration to be able to push on. And those things you're referring to as difficult, by Krishna's grace, you'll find them that they're now easy. And yes, and you become like who you associate with, whose association you accept, who you listen to. So if you're watching and really, with interest, trying to appreciate what more advanced devotees are doing, plus if you're hearing their Krishna Katha regularly, then you'll really get into it. You'll be successful, no doubt. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Well, thank you, but we don't know if there are any other questions that have come in. Are there any other questions, Arjuna Charan Prabhu? Not? Okay. All right, so we'll finish here. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.